Let's talk about new wheels and tires for the new Jeep Wrangler. This is a 2024 Jeep Wrangler JL. It's the Sport S. It is the 4-cylinder turbocharged 2-liter. Now, I got it a few weeks ago and I thought I had posted a video about the wheel and tire setup, but people have been asking me questions and I didn't. So I went to my favorite place, Discount Tire. Love that place. Great service down here in Harlingen, Texas. It's awesome. So we're going to run through. I'll tell you what I put on, what they cost, all that kind of stuff. You can see right here we've got this one all nice and shined up. I went with my favorite tire. It is the Wild Peak or the Falcon Wild Peak AT3W. Love these tires. They're a great all-purpose, I think. Rugged enough and aggressive enough for off-road as far as the tread goes, but you get pretty darn good traction on rainy, wet roads. Haven't driven it in any kind of snow or anything. Someone asked me recently, how do they do in snow and winter weather? Well, I live in deep South Texas, palm trees and stuff, so we don't get any snow here. So I can't tell you from personal experience, but they look like they'd be pretty good. Now, as far as the wheels go, I went with the KMC Enduro. Wheels are getting very difficult to get right now. I actually wanted, I think what they call the Dirty Harry, because, you know, I'm a Clint Eastwood fan, but they weren't available, and this was the next best thing that I could find, and I did want the round holes in them, kind of a Jeep thing, you know. I think they look pretty good. Of course, I wanted black, so we got black. Now, as far as the size goes, let me run through. I'll tell you that they came originally with a 245/70 R17. That was the size tire that was on the new Jeep, as well as the width of the wires, or the wheels rather, 17-inch wheels. Didn't like those on there, just too normal looking, I guess. Nothing wrong with them. And I did, by the way, sell the tires, if you will. It's more like a donation to Discount Tire. I believe it was 50 bucks a tire, something like that. So I ended up getting a $200 credit. Now, let's get into the specifics about what's on mine. The wheels, as I mentioned, they're a KMC Enduro. They have a -6mm offset. And that was important to me because I wanted some wheel poke on this Jeep. I wanted the tires to stick out a little bit. I should call it tire poke, I suppose. What that did is it moved the wheel out a little bit from stock so that I get a little bit that hangs outside of the fender. I like the look of it. I like the stance of it. I think it just makes the Jeep look a little bit more aggressive with a little bit of tire poke. Now, as far as pricing and all that stuff, let's talk about pricing for the wheels. $294 each. I bought 5 of them, obviously, for the back, so I spent whatever that figure is times 5. I have the total for you at the end. Weight-wise, they're 27.5 pounds a piece. Not hugely different, I don't think, than the stockers, but I didn't weigh the stock wheels. So if you want to know that, you'll have to look that up yourself. Getting back to the tires, Falcon Wild Peak AT3W. What I put on it is a 265/70 R17. That gave me the width that I wanted with that offset or pushing out the tires a little bit as well. Again, I love these tires. I think they're a nice aggressive look for the Jeep. I think they look really good on here, and paired with that particular wheel setup, I think they look pretty good. Now, price-wise, $273 each. They're not cheap. They're not the most expensive ones you could buy. I'd call them kind of middle of the road, maybe on a little less than average when you're looking at these kind of tires. 53 pounds a piece. Grand total, minus tax and any of that kind of stuff, $2,835. That's $2,835. That's kind of where you're going to be, I think, on any setup, any moderate or modest setup that you get. You're looking at somewhere, let's just round it up, right around $3,000, something like that. That's assuming that you don't go crazy and buy something that's a heck of a lot more expensive. Now, I know somebody's going to ask me about the tire pressure monitors, the little TPMS system. They do have sensors inside when you get them. Those sensors can be reused. So don't ever let any shop tell you that you have to buy all new sensors. You do not have to do that. They take them out of the old setup, they put them in the new setup, and then they pair them right up with your existing system in the truck. In other words, it will read the proper tire pressures, or what's in the tires, I should say, with the new setup. No big deal. Another thing I wanted to mention, people ask about speedometer difference. You know, do I need to have it recalibrated, all that good stuff, buy one of those little taser things or whatever, which you could do if you wanted it to be exactly right. It's not hugely off. I think at 50 or 60 miles an hour, something like that, it might be a mile an hour off, 1 point some miles per hour, something like that. Well, who cares? It's not that big of a deal for me. Speedometers aren't going to be exact anyway, so I don't have any real problems knowing that I'm going to be off a little bit. However, if you wanted to, you could pick up a Taser Mini. I'm sure there's many other things out there. That's just the one that I'm aware of, that you can go in and reset your tire pressure monitor system, something like that. Now, before we sign off, completely different subject, I do want to mention, if you'd seen a previous video that I did on this Jeep Wrangler, I was having trouble with that auxiliary battery. It was failing. So I did a little fix. I pulled a fuse and I took a negative ground off, and that eliminates that auxiliary or ESS system from the Jeep. Haven't had any issues with it. The Jeep works perfectly. No error messages, nothing's popped up on the screen, nothing crazy. So for me, it has satisfied what I really wanted anyway, and that was to get rid of that system. I can't stand that system. It's the auto stop, if you're not familiar. Works perfectly. So far, it's been about 2 weeks, I think, something like that. There is a video on the channel about what I did. If you want to know more specifically, you can search back or look back at a few videos back, and you'll be able to see what I did. Anyway, I just wanted to get on and run through the tire setup that I have. I know a lot of people have been asking, so there you have it. Leave a comment. Let me know. What do you think of it? I'd just be curious. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.